Hello, hello, hello. Frenchie starting off. So we're going to give people a few minutes to come on. What happened, Tay? Harry, her mother came off. So we're going to give people a few minutes to come on. And while they're coming on, I am so excited to have you guys. So I should have had some. I was thinking about putting some music on while we're waiting for people to come on. But I noticed the last show, the music wasn't playing. And so I had it on and I'm like moving. Oh, it's Essence. And then
everyone was hearing it. They thought you was holding yourself, didn't they?
I sure did. I was like, thank God I wasn't singing the whole try to song.
Something going on in my background. Hopefully it's not a disturbance. Can you even hear it?
Hello, Alex.
I hear it a little bit. I hear it.
Okay, let me turn it down. I'm having a party over here.
All right, thank you.
You didn't offer us any drinks or anything, though. You just came to the party with your own drinks.
Right.
I was.
Anybody needed anything from the bar?
I was sharing.
I see you.
Okay, so we got people joining us. You see that we already got a party going on. We're going to be talking about all things masturbation. Guys, people that's coming on, any questions that you might have about masturbation, feel free to post those questions so we can have them answered. Well, I think Tafari's already starting to masturbate with his clothes on.
Whenever I'm on with Renee,
Really good.
whenever I'm on with Renee, sometimes a flying dildo comes by
Is
the
that a
screen.
dildo or vibrator?
Nothing wrong with flying dildos.
Nothing at all.
You don't object.
It just comes up when I'm on with her, like every once in a while.
There's
That's
a
the only time.
Not at all.
Okay, so let me just ask. So I want to start with the first question because we're gonna be talking about. We're gonna really let whatever come up. But let's at least kind of start in an organized sense about masturbation. So when was your first time masturbating? Ooh.
I will say, I will volunteer and say that the first time that I remember is in nursery school. And I don't even know how I figured it out, but somehow, you remember the nap time mats?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Back in the day, blue on one side, red on the other side. Now everybody know how old I am. So, I was taking a nap, and somehow I figured out a way to really slowly bring myself up from the bottom of the mat to the top of the mat.
You learned how to self-soothe, baby. You learned how to self-soothe.
Right, just a little something before nap time. So, a little something to kick nap time off,
I'm back.
Okay, who else? So I just asked the question, when was your first time masturbating?
My first time masturbating is like really embarrassing to even talk about. But I learned about masturbation from my aunt.
Really?
Way to go, Auntie.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. You're not going to count when you was in your mother's womb masturbating? You're not going to count that? You don't remember that? Because boys,
I didn't know. They were all hands at that point, so I don't know. I don't know.
If I remembered, I would tell you.
Okay. Okay, so my first non-amniotic masturbation.
There you go.
Does that make sense? Okay, so my aunt actually taught me about it because she was telling us about this discipline that she had to enact because this guy was masturbating in class. And so her and my aunt were talking, and I'm like, well, what's masturbation? And so she told me what it was, and I was like, oh, that's what I've been seeing in the movies. Detroit had just got cable at this time, so I'm telling her how old I am.
when they had the lock on it, you needed the password.
But we were able to get like HBO and Cinemax. So I saw like masturbation. I didn't know it had a name. But I was like, now that I know it has a name, I'm gonna do it.
Cinemax was the original Pornhub. Right? Cinemax was the original Pornhub.
Yeah.
Yes, it was. Yes.
So
back in the day, Cinemax.
I masturbated, and so this is where it gets embarrassing. My brother was in the room. We had bunk beds. He had the top bunk, so I'm on the bottom bunk masturbating, and he's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm touching my thing." And then I had my first ejaculation. I was like, "Oh shit!"
Oh God.
And your poor brother, the whole bunk bed is probably shaking, and you're probably making sound.
You know what? I was.
Brother was like, was he like, I need to get in on this action, or
What's going on? He's like, that's nasty. That's nasty. That's nasty. In my mind, I'm like, it's so sweet.
You're like, you need to get you some.
right? Get up on this.
But it would be totally gross to be masturbating on the top, on the bottom bunk. My brother's masturbating on the top bunk, like the whole thing just shaking, like ah.
Was it a competition? Did you see who was gonna get there first?
No. It never happened. I'm just saying, what if it did? It would have been kind of gross. I don't know.
Oh God.
Oh my God. So, Frenchie, when was your first time masturbating outside of your mother's womb?
I feel like I've had several first times.
I'm like that.
It kind of gets elevated, right? Because you're still kind of figuring out. So I'm sure I had some play dates with my girlfriends, and we was playing doctor and nurse. And I don't know where the stethoscope went, but I know I liked it. Okay. And you know, I remember some girlfriend kiss and things like that, but we didn't have language for it, right? It just I wanted to spend the night back there again. That's what I did.
Right.
I don't know. That was like 9, 10, 14, first time, 15, you know, like, okay. And then, but one time I think that really stood out to me, I was a little older, and then I knew the language for it. And I had a foot massage.
Ooh.
Except it wasn't on my feet. I was sitting on that foot massager like, nice.
Oh,
I didn't know that the foot massagers were so gifted.
Listen, it was something about the foot massager, and I would just sit on that foot massager and just get all my life. So, but that was the first. I was like, oh, this is masturbation. Good. Well, I had multiple first times, but the first time that I really knew what I was actually doing was with that foot massager. Yeah.
Right.
I remember all of your first times.
All 10 of my first times. Yeah.
Now, could I jump in and answer next? Because mine is very similar to yours, Frenchie. I was here thinking, and I think I had 2 first times. And the original was because my mom, she had a lot of back problems, and she had this big back vibrator thing that she would use to massage her back.
Problems.
Yeah,
That's
what
called
she used it for.
magic wand.
Yes. I mean, it was like I saw Renee's toys. It was like double the size. You know, it had this round thing at the end and then the long thing. And somehow I must have been around 3rd, 4th grade. I don't know how old was I, 9, 10. Anyway, so somehow in my mind, I was like, well, it's vibrating. It might feel good somewhere. And that's when I started to feel good down there, just putting it down there and humping the bed like little kids do. And then the one where like Frenchie said, like I knew what it was. It's interesting. It's a twofer because I think it was when I first realized that I like boys too. Okay, was in fifth grade. I was waiting in line to go in from recess, and this little boy turned around. He was one of those real crazy kids, very extrovert. And he turned around and looked at me and said, "I want to have sex with you," just out of the blue. And I was like, "What?" And before this, I was super like no sex. I'm like Star Trek, playing Star Trek in the at recess, super geeky, and that stayed in my mind. I went home, thought about this boy, and just started going at it, like knowing what to do with my hand. Like before, I used to just play with the little vibration toy. And that was the first memory I have of like actually masturbating and coming, and it was really good. And then after that, it's the rest. It's where we are now.
Right.
It's where we are now.
And then there is
Our viewers should put in their first times too, because we should catalog all the variations of the first time. So if you're watching this, type in your first time.
Yes.
It would be great to create a journal,
right,
of the world's first time that everyone masturbated. Yes, we need that catalog. We need to chronicle that. So all our viewers right now, make sure that you type in the first time that you masturbated.
It's going to be a masturbation story.
Yeah,
I know, it's exploding.
Okay, so I want to hear you guys, and I was going to ask this to the Fairy Hill mother, but she got cut off. But
she'll be back.
She will be. What's the craziest sound you've made masturbating?
Oh, sounds. I'm very quiet.
Yeah.
When I masturbate, I can't.
You gotta get Fairy. Okay, Fairy Hill mother, Tay. Welcome back. So you get to answer this question as well about when was the first time masturbating, but I'm going to add one more thing on. What was the craziest sound you made masturbating?
Oh my God. Okay, so so my first time masturbating, oh gosh, I had to be maybe I was like 10 or 11, and we had got the shower head that comes down, so I didn't like completely understand when I was like, washing my stuff. I kind of felt a little tingle down there. I was like, oh, what's that? what's that or whatever. And that's when I started to play with the shower head a lot. But my craziest sound I ever made masturbating, very like.
Wait. Before she does this, y'all know she's an erotic communicator, right? So we want to hear the phone sex. Erotic communication. What's that sound you make when you masturbating?
So like, I don't know. It depends on what kind of toy I'm using. If I'm using, my favorite. If I'm really into it, it's like I'm playing with my breast and I'm using like the wands, and I get a little squeaky. Like when it's really really good.
What I really appreciate when I'm working with high school and middle school students, because I always set up a private email address for my students so that if they don't want to ask me certain questions in the classroom in public, they can email me. And that's awesome. One of my favorite questions was, I think I'm masturbating too much. I do it all the time. I don't know if I'm masturbating too much. And I said, okay, calm down. Let's sparse this out. I said, are you making it to school every day? He said, yeah, I'm making it to school every day. I said, okay. I was like, are you still hanging with your boys? He said, yeah, I'm still hanging with my boy. I was like, you still keeping up with your schoolwork? He said, yeah. I was like, well, then keep masturbating. I said, ain't no problems. I was like,
not interfere with anything.
I was like 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 times a day. It's just what you do. If you're not interrupting your daily life, and you can still go to school and you can still be with your friends without cutting out on them. I was like, your masturbation is totally fine.
I think that's so. I'm sorry.
A lot of kids, we never talk to our kids about masturbation. I mean, I've caught the kids in the sink jacking off. I've caught the kids, in the socks. And they just don't know how natural it is. So I see some of our viewers, they're like 9, 12, we don't have a lot of material for young people about how natural and how important masturbation is.
Yeah, that's what I think. I was like, go Auntie for Tafari, because I think that, because I talk to my nieces and nephews about masturbating, and I think it's so important because they're not learning. They don't have someone to talk about that, So.
I remember I worked with a family. This is before I actually started being a lot of communicator, publicly. And the family uncle or brother was mentally challenged, but he still knew how to masturbate.
He
right?
knew how to self-soothe. Yeah.
Right. So so they would get upset. They would tell me, because they were super, super Christian, and they would tell me, like, you have to stop him from doing that. And I'm like, I'm not stopping him from doing any of that. And it was like, and I said, did you know? Because here in New York, with mentally challenged people, if they're masturbating and you stop them from doing that, it's actually illegal. You can get in trouble for that. You're not supposed to. That's their private stuff. That's called abuse here in New York when you don't let them do what it is that they do. So I'm like, I'm not getting in trouble for none of that. One, I knew that, but also on top of that, like, I just felt like, listen, this is how he soothes. Leave him alone. It's okay, but I'm not going to stop.
A lot of people don't realize, especially like autistic children. I've worked, in schools that had autism departments in the school. Yeah. And I would watch the teachers who knew that the child had masturbated, and they would pick stuff up and be like, and I'm like, listen, unless you want this kid raging out, they have found a way to cope with their anxiety. Yeah. They have found a way to simmer their energy and center themselves. And if it means rubbing one out for a couple of seconds, it just means rubbing one out. And they can come back into the group. You find a private place for them, but they can come back into the group and get rid of that anxious energy that they have. And that there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. And again, the proper term is called self-soothing. And sometimes, when we don't have the language around it too, we think that it's wrong. When we all have to self-soothe. Listen, what's going on in the world right now has caused me to self-soothe. I need to self-soothe.
Yes. That was me yesterday. I just want to jump in because what happens, everyone? I just want to jump in because it's real interesting what you brought up about the kid who was asking you in the private email about, am I masturbating too much? Because it's a fine line. I don't know. Maybe this is a nice question for the ladies. The difference between male masturbation, female masturbation, because our junk is out there. Men might. It's just like we touch it to pee. We touch our penis all the time. So I think maybe men can have a tendency to masturbate more than women. I'm not sure. That's, and I think it's important for men, any men out there that are listening, is to be able to gauge yourself. Because I think that you can get to a point where, yes, it can become something that's negative and give a negative impact in your life. You need to know why you're masturbating. Okay, is it because your real sex life sucks? And then I don't think that's a positive reason to be masturbating. Is it interrupting things in your day to day? Like you have functioning alcoholics, they seem like they're all right, but they're really not all right. So you can still go to work, you can still meet your friends, but you're kind of obsessing with this. And is it affecting your sex life in the real world? I've been there. So I'm speaking from personal experience where I saw that my masturbation was not allowing me to have very fruitful real life sexual relations, even to the point of not being able to orgasm because I'm so used to this to orgasm. So for men, but again, I'm throwing it to the women and then you can give your perspective. I think you have to watch yourself, because masturbating 5-6 times a day, okay, you can do it and still be very healthy, but you can also go off a little bit. And so you have to always come with a good energy when you are masturbating.
But you know what? That also comes from the sexual repression that a lot of people experience. Living in America where, a lot of people are indoctrinated into religion that has taught them that, masturbation and touching yourself and self-soothing and self-love is wrong. That wrong.
Right.
That can also propel you into a space of having covert masturbation sessions
which is negative.
That it's wrong. If we were to celebrate masturbation as it is natural, as we do truly understand the authenticity of it, a lot of people wouldn't develop a lot of the sexual neuroses sexual dysfunctions that they do have. So a lot of that stems as well from the repression that a lot of people feel as well. Again, as boys, it is natural. It is common for them to masturbate multiple times a day. Again, so there isn't a number on it, and I want to be very clear that there's never a number on how many times you should masturbate. What you do have to look out for, like you said, is it interrupting your daily activity? Is it disrupting your daily life? No different than any other addiction. No different than overeating. No different than watching too much porn. No different. So, too much of anything we have to be concerned about. But when it's not disrupting your everyday life, that if 20 times a day is not disrupting your life, then 20 times a day is not disrupting your life. Some people just have a higher drive. Some people, and remember, especially for men, as long as they're masturbating or having sex, it's also a way to minimize prostate cancer. Your chances So we always still have to consider the health benefits to performing masturbation or self-soothing or self-love as well.
I actually have a friend I was just talking to. Maybe we were sitting down talking like a week ago, and it's a guy that she started to talk to. She's been talking to him for maybe 6 months, and I'm assuming he has I'm not going to diagnose him, but I'm not going to diagnose him. But he would prefer for her to have sex with other men, which, I know what that is, a cocoa. That's obviously, I cover that. But the thing is that he would prefer to masturbate and never touch her and or for her to have sex with other people and send porn, but he will never.
He was simulating porn.
Right. But he will never have sex with her.
Right. He was simulating porn.
Yeah. It's just.
He had a porn addiction. Yeah.
I didn't want to say that. I didn't want to.
That is so interesting that he didn't want to touch her at all.
And it's been 5 years since he's actually touched a woman, and he's like, I'm okay with that.
In my study,
that reminds me real quick. So I think I shared this story when I went to Bahia, and I was staying at this guy's house, and I was laying in his bed. And, good looking guy, he didn't even try to touch me. He just started masturbating at 3:00 in the morning. He's masturbating. I'm like, what the hell?
Lady.
Right, exactly. It was not about me. And I was just so I think he might have been one of those, the same thing.
You felt abandoned.
But there are people that get off on that. We're talking about different types of sexual pleasure, and there are couples, and I've actually done this before, where I've been with somebody that it was more pleasurable for he and I just to masturbate. Like we had no penetration, no oral, no nothing. And it was a really, really, really good sexual experience. It wasn't like lesser than because there was no penetration. So there are some people that do get off on that, and it doesn't come from a level of porn addiction or anything like that. So sometimes you just got to talk to your mate, and see what they're into and what they're not into. I enjoyed it. I thought it was really
But was
nice.
that the only thing that you did together as far as intimacy?
With this person, yeah. Yeah. It was interesting. It was an interesting phase. I liked it.
That's what you consent to, but she didn't consent to.
Yes, that's the thing. You have to have that communication. Yeah.
Anything in the world is possible if everybody involved agrees.
Yes.
It can look any kind of way, but one person or two people can't be out of the contract.
Exactly. No, it takes two to tango. No, I was just bringing that up because there are people that like that stuff, and maybe they don't know how to communicate that stuff. So they can't find
people who are asexual. Of course, still find ways, have ways of expressing intimacy. I'm always curious about what those things would be. Are people who are asexual comfortable with holding hands, or is that a no? Do they masturbate, or is this just no sex happening?
It really depends on the person. And there's no, as far as someone being asexual, it depends on the person. It can vary no differently than it can vary with someone who has a certain physical disability, and there are certain things that they need to match where they feel that they are with their disability. So it can vary. It can really vary. I know. In my studies, I always thought it was interesting because we would have to watch so many different versions of porn to get an idea of the different, not only sexual paraphilias and dysfunctions. So there's a paraphilia and there's a dysfunction, and there was this one woman who always had to play a video of Ronald Reagan. And she only came when he was saying a certain speech. And no matter who she had sex with, she had to put in Ronald Reagan. And she could only come and have an orgasm at the height of his speech. And Ronald Reagan would be talking, and she'd be like,
"You will tear down this wall."
Me at this point,
Frenchie, I've heard a lot of things, and let me tell you something. I hear the craziest things on a daily basis. I don't know why that just seems so absurd to me and weird, even though I hear the crazy stuff, But that's just a little different.
That's very unique.
Listen,
every time I've heard of everything, then I hear something else. So I'm no longer surprised now. I'm always like, where's the point that becomes sexual, though? At what point did Ronald Reagan go from former president to I need that to get it off?
Right. That was the only way.
Right. That's it.
You could climax. Right. She needed, but then had a picture of him over her bed.
First time.
Say again.
How does that happen the first time? Like, is Ronald Reagan doing a speech, and then next thing you know, she gets aroused and starts.
Well, remember, Ronald Reagan was an actor. Okay, he was
a great speaker,
a celebrity before then. I ain't into him, but he's a regal looking man. Okay, and wherever her fixation got to, that's where she left off. And every time she had a different sex partner, she'd come in, she'd pop in that tape, they'd be having, but she could not get there until he said those words. They were very specific words in that speech, and she could not come without it. That was it.
I have a client that I'm sorry, I have a client that gets off on sneezing when people sneeze.
I always saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, so so it's a difference.
Like
Sneezing.
Sneezing, achoo. So actually, two clients. So one client just gets off on the sneezing, right? But he does not get off on the sniffling. My other client gets off on the sneezing and the sniffling, and you like acting like you like sniffing up boogers. He gets off on look at his face. He gets off on that. So that's why I'm like, I don't even understand why that's even surprising to me. But I had to ask him one day, and I said, "What is it that got you to this point that you know get off on it?" And he's like, one of them told me, he's like, I don't know, one day, I guess when he was a kid, because it really starts from, I'm noticing that it starts when they're a kid. I was actually touching. You know, somebody sneezed and it just got me off. The other one actually likes the way snot or mucus feels on his penis. You know?
And he just couldn't get a ball of slime, right?
Question. So, Frenchie, let me ask. So, if someone comes and they have this issue, where this is not necessarily an issue, right? But what if they come in and they're like, okay, this is interfering in my sex life? So, what do you tell them to do? Before you answer that, hello to those coming on. And Alex, we see that you did say you started masturbating at 9, Twyla at 12. If you're still there, thank you for responding.
Waiting on you to tell us what was the first age, was the youngest age she started masturbating. So we'll wait for Ms. Myers to chime in.
Yeah. And everyone else is still on. We got other people on who haven't responded. So then what do you do then? Like if this person is saying, look, this is interfering with my sex life because I can't keep having sex and having to listen to Ronald Reagan, or my partner not okay with sneezing. So Zakia says she started around 8 years old.
Perfect. So, go on, girl.
Yes. So what do you do? How do you help someone when this is interfering in their relationship with their partner? Because maybe their partner is like, no, you can't listen to Ronald Reagan. I'm jealous. I want it just to be about me. You know, so how do you help them get out of that?
I mean, you know, those are processes through therapy. That's not an easy process. You have to unravel, you know, where that began. And, you know, a lot of times we begin with not taking away, but adding to. You know, sometimes people are like, oh, on diet, like you stop eating, you stop doing something, and then you have to do something else. When actually you should just add to and then lower. So, you know, in a lot of processes, as opposed to feeling like you're losing something, we're going to add to your process so that we can lower that, you know, that need for the other thing. So in some therapies, it's about adding to before you actually take away, because that can be really scary for people. It can be traumatic. You don't know. You know, the history of where that function may have arrived from. So that's, you know, one of the steps in that. But, you know, it takes a lot to overcome. You know, people, you know, we're always unraveling. So we all have something to unravel from.
Yeah, for sure. So Tafari, you've been quiet. What's going on in your head with everything you're hearing? I saw a couple of faces there.
Right.
Like, whoa, like I'm not someone who works in psychology, psychiatry, or, you know, I'm not. Look, I'm just a Negro out here.
Trying to get a nut. You're just a Negro out here trying to get a nut.
I'm a fabulous Negro, some people may say. And I'm certainly a magical Negro. But some of this shit is on my mind. Like I got so many questions. Like I'm wondering, like if your partner only gets off by listening to Ronald Reagan speak, like can that person really date a Democrat? Like does a Democrat, you know, been wet for this motherfucker who with other people. Like, you know, how can I be fucking you? Like, you know, this person black. Like, there's so many things. I'm just having so many questions. I don't,
You know, I will say this
real quick. She says, my siblings used to blackmail me about my masturbating. I was basically their slave. LOL. I didn't tell mama. Now I give my children permission and encouragement to love on themselves. That is so beautiful.
Great.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So beautiful to give them permission. And it's so important as a parent to be able to talk to your child openly and honestly about masturbation and giving them that permission, so they're not feeling like they have to do something hiding, like they're doing something wrong.
Right.
That sexuality is wrong.
and giving them their privacy too.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, you know, mommy and daddy need privacy. Mommy need privacy. Daddy need privacy.
Right.
Kids need privacy. I thank God that, you know, I'm an only child. You know, we but that's also when you learn that you're, you know, especially as a young child, when you learn your body isn't yours.
Yes.
And how long over the years it takes you to reclaim your sexual agency.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's going to be very different for women and girls than it is from boys and men. And reclaim your sexual agency. And that's why masturbation, you know, is so important because, and it's so revolutionary. Because the revolution is about claiming yourself. And we don't think about it, but you know, in my readings, especially, like, I love bell hooks. And if anybody's viewing, please, you know, find some bell hooks books because she is so amazing. But one of the things she talked about, you know, like, men were good with the sexual revolution of women so long as it meant free pussy for them. It meant boundaries for them. When it meant that she was like, no, I'm going to tell you when, no, I'm going to tell you how, no, then the men wasn't for sexual revolution for women. That changed, you know, the fact that you could say no when you wanted to, men weren't for it. They weren't for the revolution. And that's why masturbation is just so fundamental and such a sexual right. Like, you know, that's when you learn it's your right to be a sexual person, you know, and you first discover that as a kid, but you have to sneak to get your rights.
Right. So, do you think that, the question for Frenchie, do you think that teaching your children about their bodies, masturbation, and having these conversations with them, do you think that it prevents a lot of the teen pregnancies?
Let me tell you what it first prevents. It first prevents your child from being sexually violated by family members.
Yeah.
Let's start there. Because until you can identify your body, know what they're doing to your body, and be able to explain what auntie, uncle, godmama, godpapa did, right? Your sexual offenders are usually someone you know.
Yes.
Not the man jumping out the bushes. you
Right.
Flipping in your drink in college. No, they are family members, loved ones, grandparents, aunts, uncles, godparents, you know, that are first sexually violating your kids. A child that understands their body and their sexual agency is way less likely to be sexually violated. So we have to begin there. That's why it's so important. You know, but what do parents do? The first thing they do, they say, oh, go give auntie so-and-so a hug. Go sit on so-and-so's lap. And the kids are like, I want to sit on their fucking lap. And you go give them a hug. Go sit on their lap, right? And so that child immediately understands that their body is not theirs. And if it's not theirs, then there's nothing to report. Because the body doesn't belong to them. It belongs to these adults.
Right.
So we have to stop that place. When masturbation is not supposed to stop puberty, you asked about getting pregnant. Masturbation doesn't stop puberty, right? Like, kids get pregnant or impregnate because they're going through puberty.
Right.
It's not puberty. right? You can do it to inform and educate and nurture that relationship and teach them how to get pregnant. Not how not to get pregnant, but how to get pregnant, how to start a family, not how not to. Because every time somebody tells us not to do some shit, we gonna
do
try
it.
solution and do it.
Oh, excited.
So again, you know, self-soothing is revolutionary. And you're gonna ask your child not to revolt. You can't do that.
Right.
Right.
You know, we still revolt. Now we'll probably revolt tonight. Shit. Just
So essence, how did you or how did you reclaim your sexuality? Ooh, is she frozen?
She's frozen.
She'll be back.
Good frozen face. She was
I've been there.
She looks beautiful.
I know.
Right.
She's got a nice, resting big face.
No wonder she was so quiet there. Good for the guys. You know, women tend to be more verbal than men. Y'all are just
You're soaking it in. No, I mean, for me, it's so interesting. I love hearing about masturbation from a woman's perspective because, like Frenchie said, it's part of the sexual revolution for women. And she said important for women to say no, but I go even further. Important for women to know when to say yes. Like, yes, I want to do this to myself now. Like, yes, I don't need a man to pleasure me at this moment, and I can bring that pleasure for myself. So I love hearing that perspective because, yeah, I mean, our thing is there. I mean, we could pee at least 2 times a day. We touch down there, whether we're masturbating or not. So I don't think men think about it as deeply as women have had to. Correct. So for men, I think going into masturbation, it's exploring where you can take the masturbation, where your hands can go. That may be a little bit different. And exploring it on that level, in a very healthy level, and even bringing some of those things that you think about while masturbating into the bed with your partner and making that sexual experience even greater. You know, I know for myself, my sexual experiences in real life have been better once I got comfortable with my masturbation sexual life, you know, and then you can marry both of them.
Right. Yeah. And what about you, Safari?
I kind of just want to go back to something that Phil said a little bit ago when he talked about like his masturbation experience with a partner. One of my best sexual experiences, I think I was maybe like 24, 25, is like the first time I did mutual masturbation with my partner. That shit was like amazing.
Revolutionary.
It's awesome.
And it made it even better. I'm like, wow, I'm sharing this with somebody. And like we both in the bed loud. It was ridiculous. Ridiculous. And that was also free. Like, you know, masturbation is like brushing your teeth. Like, you don't, I brushed my teeth today, you know. No one's gonna say, you know, I jacked off. I might.
I will.
Like to deal with the partner, to get to a point where it's mutual or partners was like super mutual. That was like a very liberating experience because I never talked about masturbation, but like when I started masturbating with partners, I'm like, okay, everybody likes to do a little bit of something. You want to get juicy?
You're back. You froze.
Yeah, I know she did. You got the perfect frozen face, like. But
it was a beautiful frozen face.
Hilarious.
So can I ask a question? Has anyone ever masturbated? Have you guys edged with a partner? Edging, like anybody edged with a partner?
Like
I love that.
What edging is first for our viewers who may not understand what that means.
Right.
Okay, so edging is basically maybe you by yourself or with your partner, you would masturbate and get yourself to almost the climax, and then you would stop, and then you'll go back and you'll do it again, and it's kind of a build-up of your climax, and then when you release, just
yeah, it's like
amazing.
a sexual razor blade.
Yes.
Right? You cut yourself but right before you start bleeding.
So I want to hear Essence. Have that happened? Because I want to hear from you. You were frozen, so we couldn't hear you for some time.
Yeah. I've had the experience where I wasn't in control of the of when the edge ends. So it was like somebody else was in control of the orgasm, so I could get to the edge and had to stop as many times as I was told to until I was given permission to.
Nice.
Okay.
That's making me probably want that experience, whatever that was. So was that like? Was that like a BDSM?
Right.
That's
right. I'm in control over my orgasm, sir.
Okay.
Or ma'am. Opportunity employer.
I do have to say, in my edging experience, that was actually the first time I actually came. That squirted. And I think for me, because I would get to that point and then we would kind of go back. Then I'd get to that point again, and then he would go back. And this was during oral sex. And so then finally he just gave it to me. And I tell you, when I came, it was like a cum shot. It was this thick white.
Yes.
And I was like, after that, the liquid started to come. And then that gush. And I was like, now what is that? And I really but that was like the first time. And I think it was just my body was just, and I have been trying to get that same sensation ever since. And and I just never, each time I've done the edging, it was good, but it was never like that first time, man.
Nothing like the first time.
I've edged the client for 3 days before. 3 days I edged the client.
3 days?
Really?
Yeah.
That's rude. I'm sorry.
Listen, that's all he deserves.
It's business.
That's
all he deserves to have at the moment.
That'll really get you cut right there. No.
You got 3 minutes to me. I don't got time for that.
Look, we can play for an hour. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to fuck you up with that.
That was his thing. His thing was like he wanted to see how long he could edge for. So every time we play, it's like how much longer, like how many more days, like that was his thing. So 3 days is what we got to.
By then, I'm going to the Ronald Reagan video. By then, me and Ronald are gonna be friends after that.
Like, give us a free
motherfucker.
No.
That's so funny. So Zakiya says, great point. Teach them how to get pregnant.
Yeah, we spent, hundreds of years of telling people what they shouldn't do.
Right.
Versus redirecting them to what they could do.
Right.
Because quite frankly, we've always had teen parents.
Not no.
Like that's no. My great grandmother started. She was married when she was 14, 15. At the time, lifespan was shorter. You got married younger, and you had kids. So it's not, and we've just evolved. And as a society, we're evolving more.
Right.
But the reason kids are getting pregnant is because we have not taught them how to plan a family.
Right.
We just said
it's also this fear.
How did that
every hormone in your body?
How do we
have absolutely no control over, and then we're going to tell boys to put this condom in their wallet while the spermicide heats up in the wallet, so that is actually not an effective condom.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
The fuck? Like,
And how long has it been in the pocket? 2 years?
Right.
look,
Yeah.
The expiration date has already expired.
all you have to do is, my mother was very simple. She was like, listen, I at least want you to wait till you're done with high school. Can you wait to have sex until you're done with high school? Can we do some of these things? And I was like, okay, I think I could do that. You know, I mean, I went to an all-girl high school anyway. I mean, how difficult could it be? So, but
I would have been sleeping with the girls.
there were steps, you know, there were just steps. And it was like, okay, but when you say nothing or you say don't, what the fuck is don't when it feels so good? How do you want to tell somebody not to do something that explodes your soul?
Right.
It's about control.
It's about control. It doesn't hurt anybody and feels good.
It's really about control. Controlling pleasure, controlling your identity. Other people want to control it, so they want you to suppress yourself.
Look,
While behind the scenes, they're out here doing it all.
Exactly.
When I think about the amount of people that deny themselves things just because they were told as a child not to do a thing, and they live with this is just the way I am, as opposed to actually testing something out. I'm like, my theory in life is I can try anything once. If I don't like it, I never have to experience it again. I never have to taste it again. I never have to do it again. I never have to touch it again. You know, but there are people that will go through their whole lives thinking these things are wrong and I will never do them. And they are missing out on
so much.
the most pleasurable things in life.
Interrelation.
Or waiting on somebody else to determine their pleasure for them.
Right. What were you saying, Tafari?
I was saying these are the people, like the people who, you know, I'm suppressed, and, you know, you shouldn't be doing this. Those are the people who we enter when you are a free thinker. You find yourself in these relationships with these people who are about being suppressed or have been suppressed. So you have to go through that and figure out if you want to deal with their bullshit, because they can get
I don't.
They're
I can't.
aggressive.
I make a lot of money off of people's suppression. So
she said, leave people in their suppression alone.
Right. Please let them come work for you.
Yeah, you just don't take them home. You just don't take them home. But it's a lot of projection, you know, a lot of he's almost down the line, especially if you go into stories about these very conservative anti-gay guys, and they're always caught in some motel room getting some back massage, blah 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 blah. You know, so I mean, down the line, when somebody is suppressing, it's because they're suppressed. When somebody's hating, is because they're feeling hate, like they're projecting all that negativity that's in them that they don't know how to deal with onto you. And it's like a hot iron on their forehead when they see that you are free and liberated, especially if you talk about it amongst blacks, because historically we've been mega suppressed, even more. So then when now you have black sexuality, male and female, it's like it just flies at the face of everything that they're ready for. And so their suppression gets tougher and tougher and tougher. So it's very important to just teach that liberation, sexual liberation, among other things too, especially people of color, but you know, in general.
I had a client
let me ask you guys, what's one tip you can give to someone about masturbation? Like if they're, you know, especially like a woman, maybe like a woman who's never done it before, or a man who feels like he has a problem with it or addiction. What's one tip that you can give to help someone with masturbation feel more comfortable? Or
my tip, because I know a lot of people, a lot of guys are like, you know, I don't like to talk about it, I'm ashamed of it. Like, I'm like, we're 40 years old, 45. What's the big deal? Think about like releasing shame. Like, get to the point where you can actually like step into your own personal power.
Right.
And you know what? I'm a human. I'm a sexual being. My dick gets hard, and I like to touch it. So, motherfucker, step into it. Own it. Enjoy it.
Own it.
You're not hurting anybody.
I feel like when I was younger, I wanted permission from God. Like if I knew that God thought that masturbation was okay, then I would be able to
gave
do
you
it.
a clitoris with 8,000 endings. I think she said it's okay.
Listen, my father had a friend who was a Jehovah's Witness, and so he would always buy the little watchtowers and then just throw them on the table until they got thrown away, right? And so somewhere in one of the watchtowers, I feel like I got the answer that God said masturbation was okay.
Ooh.
And I don't remember exactly what I read or why it interpreted it that way.
Like, help you get it off. Wow.
Listen, sometimes people just need to give themselves permission. I find that, a lot of times, even if someone's coming into a dance class, I don't know what they think is going to happen in a dance class, but people are terrified. And at the end of it, it's like, I just gave them permission. I just gave them a space.
Mm-hmm.
So people need to give themselves that permission. You don't need somebody else to give you permission to explore your body so you can tell people how to please you.
Right.
Yeah. I'm going to say the world owns so much of you. Your body is the one thing that you can own of yourself. Your sexual agency is the one thing. This is why kids have sex. It's the one thing that they can control themselves, because the world takes so much ownership of the rest of their life. So if you have but one thing to have control over, it is your sexual agency. So you need to be the master of that universe, if not any place else. You got a boss, you got a partner, a lover, a husband, a wife, siblings, parents, responsibilities, a car note, like everybody's got a piece of you. But the one thing that you can have for yourself is your sexual agency.
Is it sexual what?
Is your sexual agency.
Agency.
Cool. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna go a step above, because all night I've been pretty much kind of drumming that beat of like, men, I think they're pretty comfortable masturbating, generally speaking. If not, just give yourself that moment. You're in the shower, find a place where, if you're already touching it, just see where it goes. But let's take it a step up. If you are already masturbating and a man, you have two hands, okay? So explore your body as you're masturbating. Just, it can start up here, can go other places. And don't be there. Like, there you go. Tafari is showing it. I'm speaking. He's going to give us the demonstration, but be careful. Because we're going to go some places, Tafari. You might not want to give the full demonstration. But, you have your testicles. It feels good to touch your testicles. It feels good to go between the anus and the testicle. And if you're a little bit more adventurous, you can go you can start on the outside of the anus. You can prod a little bit. It doesn't make you gay if you do this, because that is a G-spot for men. Doesn't matter if you're gay or straight. Your prostate is back there. So you're going to feel some really good things back there. But start slow. Start up. Do like Tafari. Do the nipples. Do the ears. But you got two hands. Use them. Okay? That's my tip for the men.
Spirit fingers.
Yes.
What's that? Oh, wow.
And as always, flying dildo coming around.
Oh my God. And Tay, I don't forgot the question.
Very home mother.
Advice you could give a masturbation.
Yeah, masturbation tips.
The masturbation tip.
A tip you would give to someone.
As far as masturbating, learn your body. It's very important to learn your body because that's how you will be able to convey to the next party or whomever you're sleeping with what you like. Again, like he said, touch all over your body. Use toys. You know what I'm saying? I like to do without toys and then add them depending on what I'm in the mood for. But don't be afraid to use toys, incorporate these things, and explore yourself.
Yes. Thank you guys. So what's one thing that's helped you to be more sexually empowered?
I'm gonna vote for being naked in front of semi-naked in front of lots of strangers.
I'm in love with a stripper.
Body roll. I was closer to 30 when I started dancing than I was to 20. And so having to be around all those young perky bodies that look perfect under the blue lights or whatever, I just had to get over it and be like, this is what I got. This is what I'm selling. I gotta believe in the product. And then now with burlesque, being able to perform and tell the story or evoke the emotion without feeling self-conscious about my body, have both been things that help behind the scenes. Yeah, I love every stretch mark, cellulite, dimple that's there. It doesn't bother me anymore because it is what it is.
Right.
I think as far as what helped me become sexually liberated is I just learning to love myself. You know what I'm saying? Just learning to love myself and not caring about what other people felt about me or how I presented myself and things like that. And growing up, I don't know who said that is Jehovah's Witness, and I think I said this. I grew up, around, not a Jehovah's Witness, but I grew up around Jehovah's Witness, my grandmother, my whole family. So you are definitely told to, don't do that. You can't have no cleavage out. Now you can't go nowhere in my house without seeing my titties. So like,
I think we can see a little bit of your titties now.
Yeah, you see, like,
your name in the way.
Yeah, the name is in the way. That's what's.
But
right?
it's just me saying, I'm not doing that. I know who I am. You know what I'm saying? And with me being comfortable within my skin, it made me be able to just be sexually liberated and enjoying me and living for me. Not for that,
Perfect. And anyone who's watching, if you have any questions, feel free to ask any questions that you might have.
It took me a little bit longer to get sexually liberated. I think really coming to Brazil helped a lot. Being around people that look like myself helped a lot. I grew up in a pretty mixed neighborhood, maybe 60-40 white to black, but you still you don't feel that self-love when you're around as many people from another race that maybe don't find you attractive because we have what America sees as what is beautiful. I still grew up at a time when we didn't have as many people in media that would say, no, black is this beautiful too and this sexual. Maybe after Janet Jackson and all that, that changed a lot with that. What was that real sexual album she came out with? I forgot now, the Velvet Rope. I thought that was wonderful. That album helped me a lot, the Velvet Rope. So coming to Brazil, though, I think that's when I finally was like, okay, I'm around other people that look like me, that are sexual, that are willing to walk down the street with almost nothing on, and they feel secure in their bodies. That's when I began to feel secure in my body and really saying, oh, I look good, and then I look at some kids that are like in their 20s, and I'm almost 40, and I'm like, I'm looking better than these motherfuckers, you know. So so I'm like, wow, you know, I'm taking care of myself. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling the self-love. I'm feeling all that, but it helped being around people that look like me. That you know, that really gave me that extra little pump.
Mm.
You know, I'm 45 years old.
And looking good.
Yeah.
We're all looking good.
High five 45. That's what we say. High five 45.
I'm legit.
Everything here is looking good.
And everything is together. Now,
Yes.
I got married when I think I was like 24 years old, and I was married for like 14 years. Wow. And like, up until that point, like I was just in relationships, and it was good, but it was just normal. I feel 8 years ago, after I divorced, like I stepped into like my complete sexual being. So I don't know if that's like I would say that's like, you know, when I really reclaimed my sexual identity, sexual power. But for me, it was a definite marker because my sex became like totally different. I was able to do what the fuck I wanted to do because I'm like, you know what? I'm older. And if I don't like that, I'm not going to do it.
Right.
And if you can't do this to me that I like, then you can't be with me. Like, so that was very real. So now at 45, I'm like, I feel like I'm a beast in my mind sexually.
But you're resolute. You know, it's funny because we all kind of mentioned our ages and we're all getting to 40 or a little bit after 40. And a while back, I studied Kabbalah. And in Kabbalah, 40 is a very important number. I mean, it's considered the age of wisdom in Judaism. And you feel like it's like that, it's like a cycle is closing when you're at 40. Like you find yourself finally, you know, like, and I feel so like, I used to be so scared when I was 25. Oh my God, I'm going to be 40 one day. I'm like, I'm a year or two away from there, you know? And I'm like, really, I can't wait to get there. You know, if you asked me 10 years ago, 40, I'm like, I can't wait, you know, to hit the 40. So,
you know, there was something you said a few minutes ago when we were talking about like being in Brazil and amongst like people who look like you. I would say this: in February 2019, I was in Salvador, Bahia. I was staying in Itapuã, and I was walking along the beach. It was my first time in Brazil. I was walking along the beach, and I'm like, God damn, look at these motherfucking bodies.
It's life-changing.
That's all you can say is just goddamn.
Yeah.
Skin and meat and tits and ass and everything. But I was walking along the promenade, and it was this couple walking to me. The guy, he was like dark and had like this gut that was maybe a smaller than mine. He had on the red sangha, and his girlfriend, she was thick ass. And they were walking down the street like they was the hottest thing since KFC spicy 2 pieces.
Yes.
Yes.
And I want to fuck them both. They were sexy. I was like, shit. And after seeing him specifically, I was like, shit, I'm beat ready. Shit, I'm out here. I can get it.
No, but it is life changing.
I got me 2 sangas and I stepped on that beach. I said, who wants it?
Wait, now what is this thing that you're saying for?
I'm sorry.
The sunga, the Speedo. It's just like a Speedo.
Oh, the little tiny little itty bitty.
Yeah, because here in Brazil, it's all Speedos. Nobody wears shorts.
You're wearing a Speedo. Like everybody wears.
But they're different. They're sexy.
Yeah. And Europe is like that too. Europe is very much like nobody gives a shit. Only Americans. Only Americans.
Nasty.
It's fascinating because we use sex to sell so many things in this country, but at the same time have it as a stigmatized and taboo thing.
It's very repressed. It's very repressed.
Very odd.
Like once you stop, I think like as a person of color, Like once you step outside of the U.S., like in the U.S., it's like, oh shit, I got to be a 10. I got to be at least an 8. I got to be lean. I got to be muscular. It's always this. I gotta.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you really ain't got to do shit, but just step the fuck out.
Right.
Step the fuck
Right.
out. But I found when I started like really traveling extensively and seeing like how other people are looking, I'm like, yo, shit, bitch, I'm hot and I'm fat.
That's right.
It's about your attitude. It's about your attitude. But I found that like when I traveled in Brazil and started to travel in West Africa, I'm like, our bodies, we're born ready. Period.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now maybe you're eating too many grits. Maybe you're eating too many croquettes. That's another issue. You may need to address some shit. But you are ready. Step the fuck out.
Right.
Who gives a fuck?
I better look this good, like how y'all look at 40. I better look that great. I better.
You will.
You will.
Goddamn dad belly posing nude and not giving up.
So Zakia wrote, I was excited about turning 40 as well. Phil, I'll be 44, 6/22, June 22nd. And by the way, I love bi men. Did you say you were bi, Phil?
I didn't, but I'll take it. I'm trisexual. I try anything once. I'm trisexual.
I love it.
So let me tell you. So he did make a post about this a few days ago, and folk was mad, but mostly happy. She wrote this post on Facebook, and I saw it. All it said was, "I love bi men." He had, I think, over 1,000 comments, and people were like, "Yes." People were like, some guys were like, you're supporting the emasculation of men."
Oh yeah, the gay agenda. I'm still waiting to get my agenda in the mail because then nobody sent me my gay agenda. I am waiting for it.
Agendas. Who ran out? Who stopped printing the agenda? I never saw a motherfucking agenda.
Nobody sent me the goddamn agenda.
I've never seen a Christian. Well, I haven't seen a Christian agenda, but like all these other agendas, what the fuck are they?
Right.
We really have to get beyond that. And I was
saying, ain't nobody sending me this agenda.
As I have to get ready to break away, but I would say this: as I'll be 45 in 2 weeks.
You'll be 25?
I'll be 45 in 2 weeks. Don't take me back.
I didn't hear that right.
I'm not going back.
True.
And I would say the best thing about or whatever it takes about advancing your sexuality is knowing that it is a lifetime journey. That's number one. Mm-hmm. And that receiving your sexuality, like people feel that energy. Like I even when I was a virgin, I always knew who I was as a sexual being. Mm-hmm. And it draws in so much energy. People are drawn to your sexual energy. And I would think like, I don't know what it is, including men who wanted to molest me. Let me put that out there. I always knew that I had that sexual energy. I just didn't know how to navigate it when I was a kid.
Right.
Like most girls and big asses, they don't know how to navigate that energy. And that comes with time. And it also comes with knowing that it's going to evolve over the years. And every year or every 6 months, you'll wake up and you're like, I'm a different sexual motherfucker today. And it's you're like, shit. I remember recently meeting someone who it was very clear she was reliant on a man to affirm her sexuality.
You meet a lot of girls like that.
She said, well, I've only squirted with a man, and if I don't squirt, you know, like I'm not. And I was like, who told you you had to squirt? Like, where the fuck did you? I was like, girl, you don't know your pussy from the hole in your ear. My Jesus. At that point,
I can't.
so happy that
She's writing it down.
A whole pussy.
Put that in my pocket.
Listen,
You don't know her own whole pussy.
I'll leave that for later.
but that's why I was so happy that I was at a point where I was old enough to understand that I am responsible for my own orgasms. I am responsible for my own happiness. I am responsible for my own sexual agency. And she hadn't reached that point yet. So I'm just going to meditate on her. I'm going to meditate on her. But, you know, it's so exciting for me to know where the fuck I am in the world.
Right.
That's the revolution.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't get it. Let me tell everybody who's watching this, you can't get it without touching yourself. You can get it without loving yourself. You will never get it without it. We know we are working because there's so many of you lost motherfuckers out here in the world. So if you want to help us help you, get the revolution.
Get to rubbing.
This revolution has been televised.
I bid everyone adieu tonight. I have to break out. I'm again kisses.
Thank you so much. You are awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here.
See you on the next one. Everybody, make a revolution tonight, please.
I too have to dip out. I have to fire up the kind of sets, and I'm about to put this meat down.
Oh,
so Renee, thank you so much for offering. Ain't gonna be no plate.
Thank you as well. Do you want to share anything before you go? Like anything coming up? Anything?
I'm sorry, Renee. What was that?
Your handles. Do you want to share anything before?
Oh yeah,
you enough to fire up your show?
Yeah. So let me go ahead and do my 1-minute infomercial. I'm Tafari Stevenson Howard, a professional photographer and sound meditation facilitator based in Detroit, Michigan. You can find me on Instagram at I am Husky Bae, BAE. You can also follow me at Sankofa Mind and Body, where I will try to get your motherfucking ass together.
I got you.
If you want to see a little bit more, you can find Husky Black Man on Instagram. And with that said, I have a sound meditation coming up on Tuesday. You should join me. The link is in my bio on Sankofa Mind and Body and Husky Bae. So I'm also on YouTube. You can find me here at Sankofa Mind and Body. We can find many of my sound meditations that have been recorded across the world to help get your motherfucking ass together. Free your mind.
Bye. I love it.
Look, I'm high as fuck, so I'm really extra.
He was smoking the whole time.
Look, I'm on mushrooms too. I'm sitting here the whole time, like really trying to contain myself.
I was wondering because normally you be letting it out. I was like,
no, I had the whole pack because I had a whole bunch of shit I wanted to say, but I'm like, I can't.
Okay, say one of it. One of it before you go. What's one of the shit you want to say before you go?
I can't.
You can. Let's do it. Come on.
No. I got a 15-year-old child who's looking at me. Okay. She's literally right here. I may send you a text message. Stay tuned.
Put it in the comments.
Write it in a private chat.
I tried to write it in a private chat, but I can't because the private chat is not too. It's not private. It's like black man chat. It's a private chat. It's a black man chat. Anyway, y'all have a great. Be safe.
Take care. Follow you.
Yeah, take care of yourselves. Be wonderful. Be beautiful. Be black.
Yes. Thank you so much. It was awesome having you. Thank you. Bye, Tafari. Awesome. So, how are you guys? We've been on for like an hour, 19 minutes now.
Oh, wow.
Been having fun. Is it all right to ask a question? I mean, we have a few people left. I don't know how much time people have before they gotta go.
I have time.
Because I was wondering, we didn't get a chance to talk about it as far as masturbation with things other than toys. Like, have you ever masturbated food or with objects? I posted something in the private chat. There's this documentary I saw a while ago about objectum sexuality. You know, these women that are attracted to sexual, to like the Eiffel Tower, the San Francisco Bay Bridge. It's kind of out there. But I was just wondering, you know, what's the strangest, quote unquote, thing that you've masturbated with or where and anything like that?
I'm going to answer that real quick first while y'all think, because that's actually a great question. And I have a story. So the first time I did that, I must have been like 20 years old, and I was with a guy trying to be all freaky and shit. We were drinking, and I had a Heineken beer bottle or something. So I put the beer bottle up my pussy, and I'm like masturbating with the beer bottle, and it was fun. But the next day, I got a yeast infection. This shit won't be happening again. Or maybe I should have washed the bottle before I put it in there.
Yeah.
She was in the moment and everything. So yeah, so I learned, even though that was fun, it was like, okay, you know, try different things, have fun, but maybe I should have put a condom on it. Maybe I should have made sure it was clean, you know. So I did learn that, but I didn't do it again. I was like, yeah. Now I know I could have just put a condom on it, but I was like, yeah, I'm not putting any beer bottles up me anymore. But I did enjoy it. So maybe now I'll do it again with a condom.
Prepare.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Is there a rinsed out beer bottle by your bed?
You drink, you had that ever since I've known you. Hey.
I've been waiting to ask you. I'm trying to think of things that are not sex toys that are objects. And I can't. I mean, I had at some point younger, like preteens, I think I had a thing with the edge of the bed, like that corner. That's probably, I think that's the only object I can think of. I mean, stuffed animals, but that's typical. That's not really odd.
Yeah,
thing. An object.
I don't think I can think of anything either. Like, yes, I've done a stuffed animal before. I've done a freaking, is that a zucchini? It wasn't a cucumber, but I think it was a zucchini.
Oh, vegetables, yeah.
But no, I don't know. I think so.
Yeah, I'm like hands and toys.
Yeah.
Or imagination. If I'm somewhere I shouldn't be having masturbatory.
Yeah.
Right. So this is not about masturbation, but has anyone grapefruited someone? Thinking about
grapefruit.
Like on the movie, like on a girl's. No, I have not.
What is that to grapefruit someone? I don't know what that is.
When you grapefruit someone, you are to cut a grapefruit in half and like pop a hole into it and stick their penis into the grapefruit. You're supposed to use a condom over it because the acid can actually hurt them. So and you are to suck and stroke at the same time, suck and stroke at the same time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to try that.
I've enjoyed it
in Brazil, but you could try it with an orange.
Yeah, no, they got some big orange. No, there are grapefruits down here. I saw there were some grapefruits in the market. When I was younger, I used to experiment with that because little boys, they just want to stick it in something that feels like something other than their hands. So when I was very little, I think the furthest I went, this is really embarrassing, but think little boys, okay, we're a little crazy. Like a fillet, I microwaved it, trying to get it as warm as possible, wrapped it up. I think I must have read it in a Playboy magazine or something. I said, "Oh, I got to try that." And then in another,
You warmed it up.
Well, I mean, yeah,
He
you don't
went
want
out
to
his
cut
way.
yourself.
Yes.
Yeah, you can't cut yourself with that. Yeah, and then you put some saran wrap around it so you don't, and then.
Well, at least you knew to put saran wrap.
Oh no, I'm very meticulous. And another masturbation experience that was weird. I mean, even for me, it was kind of weird. But I was kind of meditating out in nature. This was, eons ago, and I just got very much in touch with where I was and everything. And for some reason, sexual energy came out of that. I can't say like I was turned on by a tree. It's not like on that level. It's hard to explain what it was.
Well,
But
that
I was
just
just,
happens sometimes. Like I've been driving down the street, and one day I was like, "Gosh, I think I literally like this is when I used to eat meat, but I went to McDonald's and I ordered something from McDonald's, and then out of nowhere I just got like horny, and I literally pulled
yes.
over into the McDonald's parking lot and like opened my legs and had a,
Yeah, it was
had a good
weird.
time.
It was kind of like that. Yeah, like it just something connected me. So what I did is like I put my hand on the tree just to kind of hold myself and went at it. And that was like the weirdest thing that's ever happened to me with masturbation. But I thought it was a weird, interesting experience. But you got to let it go. Like, what was her name? Who left?
Frenchie.
Frenchie. Yeah, like she said, you have to be able to just accept that you're going to be going through phases and sometimes something might happen. And like Essence said, try something at least once. You may never do it again, but don't be afraid to at least go there. So I think that's important. Just you got horny at McDonald's, whatever. It may never happen again, but don't be afraid to just let your body tell you, give its messages to you. You're not hurting anybody else. As long as you're not hurting anybody else, it's you and you. Just go for it,
Exactly. So Hello Mellow asks, how do you bridge the gap between shame and pleasure?
Oh God.
Great question. So great people said, oh God, he's got religious status. Bringing God into the question.
I'm in so many different positions where shame typically comes from outside of us, right? It's like what were we taught is good and what we're taught is bad. And so that's usually something that's from outside of us. So tapping into what's inside, like there's nothing shameful about the clitoris being pleasurable because that's its sole purpose. There's nothing shameful about anything that you may want to do personally with yourself or with someone else. Those are just voices in our heads. So I think that not caring about what other people's opinion of you will be is one way. And the other way is to focus, ask yourself, does this feel good to me? Am I enjoying this? Does this work for me? Am I comfortable with this? I think those kinds of things, because you can't be ashamed of something that you're comfortable with and makes you feel good. I think.
Agreed. And I want to add on to that. One of the biggest things, shame comes from the whole religious thing, right? A lot of us was born into Christianity or even just from media. And the whole thing about Christianity was really to dominate and control us. And it's a patriarchal, the church is patriarchal. We live in a patriarchal country, world. And everything is about dominating and controlling. And so when they can dominate and control us, especially as women, which a lot of this came to because the men, you can go have sex with whoever, it's okay. And I don't want to minimize what's happened to men, but in terms of that with women, it's been more specific. Don't do this. It's only for marriage. Sex is a sin. So much to make us feel ashamed and guilty about our sexuality. Wear long dress. That's too tight. Like we've been hearing this over and over and over again. And again, because especially as women, and one of the things I love about Tantra is that it's matriarchal and it's helped me to learn how powerful we as women are. Yeah. And so to be in a patriarchal society, they literally had to really just strip all of our power away, which is that started in our sexuality. So with our sexuality and then calling women witches and doing this and killing us and burning us to insert fear. So we've been living with so much fear and shame and guilt. And sexuality, pleasure is our birthright. It's our birthright. Right. Like Sam said, our clitoris, the sole purpose of the clitoris is pleasure, nothing else. Right. So you have to just be like, fuck all of that society has said, what the churches have told us, and know that it's about power and control. And I do want to add one more thing. I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, I had on Maleo, and she had said something which was just so profound to me. It hit me. And she was like, she doesn't believe in religion because when you think about it, when you think about life, where does life come from? Women. Sexuality is all connected to women. We give birth. Women, no one would be here if it wasn't for a woman. So why is it that God is masculine? How could God be masculine and create all of this?
Right.
And I was like, yo, that's so true. Like it's women who give birth and create. So the whole idea of what church, how they, talked about religion is another part of dominating and controlling women and empowering, disempowering. I've been making up words sometimes being in Brazil for so long. Disempowering women. And so really what it should have been a god and a goddess. That's how you create the world, this energy together, or at least the goddess.
Well, remember the story of Lilith, which, we know that was, technically Adam's first wife, and she was considered, well, now in some religions, she's considered a devil, so to speak, because only thing she wanted was knowledge, and she's a sexual goddess, so she wanted to have sex in other ways other than just missionary. She wanted to know more than what she was supposed to be told. If it was up to them, they would have kept us dumbfounded and in the kitchen. You know what I'm saying? Right. So that's why she was technically called like the devil, and she was the one who made Eve, his second wife, eat the apple. But the apple was of knowledge. So when she started to know things, now we quote unquote suffer. You know what I'm saying? So that's just the story of and us being sexual and acknowledge and acknowledging our sexual energy, I'm
going to come at it from a perspective of someone who's still, I don't consider myself a Christian because I don't follow a lot of the religion, because God never talks about religion. You can't find religion in the Bible, the word religion. So I'm into spirituality, but, for the basically, okay, I believe what's in there as far as Jesus died, resurrected. So I'm coming from that perspective. And how did I overcome the shame that came from what the church taught me, not just about masturbation, but obviously about attraction to other men. And it's through knowledge, okay? It's through knowledge, education, actually researching what's in the books, which is not necessarily what's taught in the churches, showing that there is sexuality in the Bible. And especially when I started really studying Kabbalah, And that goes back to what Renee said about the female energy. In Judaism, in the Torah, there is the idea of the Shekinah, which is the female energy of God. Like when we say God, that's not in the Bible. There's not a God. Like every time that they mention God, it's a different word in Hebrew every single time. So you're reading God in English 100 times, it's different words. You're reading Lord 100 times in the Bible, it's different words in Hebrew. And each word has a different energy. Some of it is a more masculine energy. Some of it is a more feminine energy. And then you see that creation came from sex. It's a sexual connection. You go into Eastern religions, they go really deep into like the idea of this sexual energy brought forth humanity. So that would be my first tip, is actually study what you think is true, what you're being taught by, those guys on TV saying, oh, it's a sin to do this. A lot of times what they're teaching is not what's actually in there. And then to close out, I was looking at something here from Psychology Today, which is this article, Overcoming Religious Sexual Shame. And I agree with this last little bit where it's written by a psychologist, what's her name? Dr. Shermer Sellers. And she says that we can help people struggling with sexual shame to overcome it, not by rejecting themselves, but instead by deciding who and how they want to be sexual from a place of information rather than ignorance. So offer sexual education about the range of human sexuality, education about sexual diversity, and the church's struggle with sexuality in the world, etc. So educate yourself about the messages that you're getting, whether they're true or not, but then educate yourself about your own sexuality. Like I think we've been saying all night, like it's okay to feel that pleasure. It's actually healthy to feel that pleasure. Like it's heart health for men, prostate health. So you're seeing that you're not doing something that's negative in any way to your body by masturbating, and going forward, even by some of the sexual relations that you may have. So it's a two-pronged. And then slowly but surely you'll come out of that shame. I had it. I mean, for a long time. My mom was Baptist. I was kind of raised in the Baptist church. But then I went beyond what they were teaching in the church. That was step one. And then step two is educating myself about what I'm doing to my body and whether it's healthy or not. And it's healthy. Like from a scientific standpoint, it's healthy stuff.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Thank you for sharing that. That was awesome. So before we close out, because it's been a long time, you guys want to add anything? If anyone else has any other questions or anything, you guys want to close off with one specific tip, anything?
Masturbate a lot. Especially now, guys. And no, especially now. Everybody's so stressed with everything that's going on in the US. And I don't even want to mention it because this is such a positive vibration moment tonight. So we all know what's going on. We don't need to mention it.
Yeah.
But it's a release, guys. Yesterday, I masturbated. I mean, I'm not going to say how many times, but the masturbation count went up. But it was helpful. Like it really helped me release this tension, the anger that I was feeling, everything. I just let it out of my body. So just know your headspace when you're going to masturbate. Because like I said in the beginning, yes, you can do it in a way that can be negative for you mentally. But if you're in a right mental space, do it a lot, release that energy, and just feel good.
Yes, yes. So Hello Mello says, thank you all. It's weird because I've always had a healthy masturbation practice since I was little. But recently it's this weird feeling of shame after I orgasm. So that's interesting that just started all of a sudden. And I would wonder, did something change? Did something happen in your life that's different? Just to try to understand what could have possibly happened to make this recently start feeling the shame. Did you join a new religion? Did you enter into a new relationship? Because sometimes we could be in a relationship and our partner starts saying these little things, these subtle things that starts changing how you feel about yourself.
Yes.
Or I've had clients who were in a relationship and they had a partner, and the partner turned out to be abusive, and what he would do, or she, what the partner would do is start saying little things to kind of chip away at your self-esteem, chip away at your power. And the next thing you know, you're married. Next thing you know, they start to become verbally abusive. The next thing you know, they're like beating on you. I'm not saying that this is happening. I'm just saying, you know, I've seen this with clients, but really looking at what's changed around you recently. And I just kind of brought up as an example, sometimes we have partners and, you know, saying things, and just something to think about, because it could just be such subtle things, you know, or a new friend now around you and a friend making comments. So
I'm sorry.
Kind of having joy, having happiness, having pleasure. You know, people feeling bad about wanting to share their good news. People feeling bad about not feeling dismayed at being in quarantine. So I don't know if it's like, how dare I have this pleasure when there's so much unrest in the world? And I feel like it's a good thing for us to have pleasure and to embrace whatever joy we do have, because that energy is going to be what helps to end all of this and get us back to movement and get us back to life.
Yes.
I just
wanted to agree real quick with what Renee said, just because I've been there. And with a relationship, somebody may think that your masturbation and your pleasure is you not giving them attention, and stuff like that can happen. So I'm sorry. I just wanted to say that.
No, it's okay. I just want to cut away and just, you know, say that, you know, me being the erotic communicator, you know, definitely be vocal with your partner and vocal in the bed. You know, we talked about not faking it. You know, I just had a horrible sexual experience, but so, you know, but don't fake it. You know, and don't let people make you feel ashamed for liking certain things or being into certain things. You know, if you can't be naked, so to speak, with your partner about the things that you like and you don't like, and you are already sharing your soul, because that's what you're doing when you're having sex with someone. You're already sharing your soul with them. You need to find a different partner. You need to find a different one. But yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. So hope that helps. Hello Mello. Let us know if that helps, or any other questions or anything.
You see this comment? You see this comment, Renee? Mastering your head while masturbating is key. Both heads. This is true.
There you go. Tie it up in that bow.
Right.
So mastering your head while masturbating is key. Both heads. Yes. Funny.
That is.
Okay, so I was just asking you any tips you guys want to just give, free-flowing tips.
I think we just gave all the tips.
We gave all the tips. I mean, I think it's so important. Look, I'll give a tip that I use for myself too. And look at yourself in the mirror. Like, literally look at yourself in the mirror. I think that's important. Look at your body, feel good about your body. Like, I got to a point where I was like, hey, I would fuck me. You know, like,
everybody should know what their genitals look like. They should have that little mirror, and you get to know what it looks like.
Yes, and just look at your body, feel good about it, do the 360, feel good about this, look what's good, what you think you can improve. That, I think that's important when you're trying to get into your sexual energy, because if you don't know what you look like or what your body is, and you're trying to give that to somebody else as pleasure, and you're going to pleasure yourself with somebody else, like it's like doing it blindly. Like you don't know your own body. How are you going to be able to share that with somebody else? I think that's important.
I would say breathing as well. Breathing.
Yes.
A lot of times, if someone is feeling shameful or uptight about sex, you know, there may not be free flowing breath happening. One of my favorite things to do by myself is to completely relax every single muscle in my body and deep breathe while masturbating.
Yeah.
And just let it ride out. Like, do not rush the process. Just deep breathe, keeping every muscle in your body that you can completely relaxed. The orgasm after that.
Oh, it's amazing.
We are the champions. Yeah.
And there's so many.
Breathe.
And there's so many sites online where you can have like, different masturbation styles, different so like look stuff up and try it. Like I remember when I was a kid, I read something in Playboy about for male masturbation. When you're about to come, you press right under the scrotum and you don't, the ejaculate doesn't come out, and it gives you this crazy orgasm. It's like you're orgasming inside your penis. It's very intense. So
Wow.
I read that in the Playboy, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna try it, and I do it. So try it. Maybe you won't like it. Maybe you will. It might hurt. Maybe you're not gonna like the feeling. So that's another thing. Like Google is your friend. So just how
Sometimes.
different masturbation techniques. And just, well, yeah, sometimes, but just know what you want. Just put on there, masturbation techniques for men, boom, and just try something different. Masturbation techniques for women, try something different. Explore.
Well, Tafari says that's a fave. And let me tell you, it's interesting because
he knows. He knows, yeah.
It's so interesting because I give tantric massage, right? And so I do lingam massage, which is the penis. Lingam is the Sanskrit word for penis. And so part of my massage is I give lingam massage. And I remember the first time I had a guy, I was giving him a massage, and then he started doing it. He started squeezing on the penis in that spot. And I was like, what is he doing? I had never had anyone do that. So I'm giving him the massage and he's just squeezing, and I'm like, should I stop or something? But I just continued the massage. And then later I was like, what were you doing? He was like, oh, this helped me from not coming or ejaculating. And I was like, oh. And so I was like, let me research this. So then I had to look, and I saw that's a thing, and so and then that actually kind of became something that I started teaching my clients to do, especially if they had like premature ejaculation. And I'm like, okay, so now I know a technique, thanks to this client, to help someone who has premature ejaculation to prevent coming quickly.
I'm gonna cut out. I'm gonna cut out. Okay. Thank you so for having me.
Are you gonna share anything real quick before you head out? And we're closing up too. You want to share anything?
Late.
Yeah.
Like the whole university?
Oh, yes. I'm like, what? Yeah. So I am Tay Shonda. You can find me on Facebook, on Instagram. I am Fairy Home Mother 1. I have an erotic communication school. I teach on how to be a erotic communicator or erotic entrepreneur. My website is hoeu.org, which is hoeu.org. And just hit me, contact me, inbox me, ask me any questions that you have. It was nice meeting you guys.
All right.
Again.
Definitely. All right. Bye. So Essence, you want to just kind of share your stuff, what you got going on?
Sure. My website is theessencerevealed.com. And currently I'm working on getting some downloadable treats up there. There'll be a very, very, very beginner twerk class. And there'll be different workshops around getting out of self-doubt so that you can move forward towards what you really want. So they can check the website for that. I'm on Facebook. Facebook.com/Essence Revealed. It's the easiest way to find me because I'm an old and I like the Facebooks.
Right.
Yeah, so they can keep up there.
Okay, thank you. Phil, you want to share your stuff? How people can
Yes,
connect?
I do. I do. But just one last thing, because you brought it up, Renee.
Okay.
For men who have premature ejaculation, please masturbate. Learn your body. learn how many it takes before you get there. So when you're having sex, you just know when to stop, get back, so super important.
Well, I want to add on to that too. Not only just masturbate to know your body, but you have to do breath work, because what happens is a lot of times you're masturbating and you're masturbating and you're in the fantasy world. You're thinking about porn or you're doing other things, and that just makes you come quicker. So that's not enough. You have to actually learn breathing techniques to be able to slow it down, to be able to gain better control and mastery of yourself while you're masturbating. Then the other thing I want to add on when you're masturbating is being present in your body, because so many times we're not present. We're in our mind. We're in a fantasy. We're thinking about things. The next thing you know, you came, and it's only been 2 seconds. But if you're present in your body and you're really noticing what's happening in your body and what you're feeling, you can begin to say, okay, I'm about to come. Well, I know what happens right when I'm about to come. My butt tense up or my thighs tense up. And so because you're present and you're aware, you can then start to relax that. Okay, I know my butt cheeks are tensing up. Let's breathe into it and relax it. And so then you start relaxing and you start understanding what's happening in your body before you're coming. That way you learn how to control it more and you can go longer.
Cool. As far as where you can reach me, I have a YouTube channel, youtube.com/Phil in Brazil, where I do a little bit of everything. I do some movie reviews, I do some music, but lately what I've been doing a lot of is interviewing expats. And this lady to my, it's backwards on here, on this side of me, Renee, is going to be my guest. So she'll be on there on the 12th of June. And so check that out. We'll be talking about Tantra and dating in Brazil, the differences from the dating culture in Brazil from the rest of the world. So check that out, and you can just go there, subscribe, and have a lot of fun.
Yes. All right. So thank you guys for coming out. This has been awesome. I had a great time. I hope you guys did too.
Yes.
So I can be reached on Facebook at Renee Adolfi or Prandata Prim, and well as on Instagram, Prandata Prim or Sacred Soul Retreat, because I do retreats for people of color with soul. And I also have Patreon, Prandata Prim, and Patreon is really where you can get more information and more things that I just can't give here on YouTube. It's because of YouTube, Facebook, all of that stuff. There's certain things you can't put up, and so Patreon is just a little bit more free flowing, so I can really go more into depth. So check me out on Patreon, Prandata Prim, and I'll see you guys next time.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks so much for having me.